So I started Grandmas to Share because my daughter was asking me about my grandmothers. So they died before she was born, so I drew them out like a paper doll. I sketched them out and I showed her them, and she said, "Wow, I wish they were really here." And I said, "Me too." So I looked it up, I did some research, I found out there was no other grandma doll in the market, and I decided to bring them to life. So my first two dolls are made based on my grandmas. They dress like them, they look like them, they have the same hairstyle as them, they wear the pearls just like them, the shoes. So the first ones are built to be, they are made to be like my grandmothers. So that's why I named it Grandmas to Share, because I was sharing my grandmas with the world. My very first sale came from a woman who had 4 grandchildren. So she's telling me the story about how she loves her grandkids and she wants to buy 4 dolls. I said, okay, great. She bought the four dolls. She comes back and she bought a 5th doll. I said, oh, I thought you only had 4 grandkids. She said, I do, but I want one for myself. She said, and I want you to sign it because this is going to be huge and I'm going to be the first one to have it with your autograph on it. So she made me sign the back of the doll. She was convinced. She said, no, this is going to be huge and I'm going to be the one to say I have the first grandma doll. And she's right, she does. Right now I am trying to have 3 different models made. I want to have a grandma doll from every country, so we're doing a little bit at a time. So we're making 3 different dolls with different cultures, different ethnicities, so I'm trying to bring those to fruition, and we'll have a total of 5 dolls. I think all the kids love the doll that they send me messages, I get emails. I have a little boy who takes grandma shopping with him. He puts her in the shopping cart, drives her all around, puts her in his little toy car, takes her around. He plays with her like it's his grandma. He has his superheroes come down and whoosh, they swoop grandma off away from danger. It's so cute. But he thinks the doll is his grandma. You know, and that's the message I'm trying to get across. It's not a doll like Barbie or Beauty. It's something that you can treat as your grandma. I think family is the most important thing. To me, family is everything. I started this company because of my family. My daughter asking questions about her grandmother and my grandmother and her great-great-great-grandmothers, and she wanted to know. And I thought that was so amazing that she's interested in learning about her family. All kids should want to know about their family. So to me, family is everything. If every child has a grandma doll in the world, I'll be happy. I feel the doll changes people's lives because it keeps their family traditions alive. It keeps their conversation going with their parents. It keeps them speaking about their history, their culture, where they came from. It keeps the connection of family. It's important in that sense. Not so much it's a new doll, it's a toy. It represents your grandmother. Even if it doesn't look like your grandmother, she's supposed to represent grandma. And hopefully, you look at that doll and say, wow, this is my grandmother. Mom, Dad, did you love your grandma? What are some stories about your grandmother? You know, what were your traditions? It helps families stay together through conversation. I think conversation is important today because kids are on their iPads, on their cell phones, on their computers. They don't have any conversation anymore, even at dinner. You know, all you see are heads down, you know. Have some conversation with your kids. There's kids in the world that don't even know their grandmother's maiden name. How can you not know or want to know your traditions, your culture, where you came from, your background, your roots, traditions that were handed down, passed down? To me, that was so important. I feel like every child should know about that. I launched in 2014 and I did a book signing at the Learning Express. We had a great turnout. People came, signed the book. Some wanted me to sign their dolls. Everything was going great. And that was in September of 2014. Then my dad got sick in November and I had to go to Florida to see him. I stayed there for a little bit and I had my dolls for sale in the mall. I got a call from them like a week before Christmas that the dolls sold out. And I needed to come home to replenish them, to help them get them back out there. So everyone convinced me to come back home for Christmas and fill the doll order and, you know, be with my kids. So I left my dad in the hospital and I came home and I woke up Christmas morning to find out that he died. So after feeling tons of guilt from that, I just pretty much died too. I just let everything go for like 8 months. I didn't really do anything with the business. I didn't move off my couch, basically. And after I started to think about it, the following year came around. I had some dolls on Amazon and they sold out. And I said, well, then I better get up and get moving because my father would not want this company to die. He was my biggest fan. every day calling. He wanted to be here for the grand opening, and every day, how's it going? What are you up to now? Did you order the dolls? What's happening? Did you get the patent? Where's the trademark? Everything. He was so involved. So it was heart-wrenching when he died and I left there and didn't get to see him. So that was pretty tough to overcome. I'm still trying to get back on it every day that I do something. I think of him and it makes me motivated to keep moving, get it done. He would never want it to die. I got tons of support from my family and friends, tons. Everyone thought it was a great idea, and it's hard to believe that it will be because your family and friends were going to be supportive no matter what you do, so it was tough. So we did a focus group with a bunch of kids and they all loved the idea. They thought it was great. A grandma, I would love to have grandma with me all the time. So I thought, you know what, maybe it is a good idea. In my mind, nobody should be without a grandma. So even if it's just through the imagination of a doll, I thought it had to be made. But I got tons of support. Family, friends, workers, co-workers, everyone thought it was a great idea. My favorite story about the doll is a story that actually got me fired from my job as selling the dolls in the mall by my husband. I had a little boy, about 4 or 5, come up to the booth and he wanted a doll. And his mom said, "No, you don't want a grandma doll." And he said, "I want it." And she said, "What are you going to do with that? It's a doll." And he said, "I want it." And she said, "You don't play with dolls." And he said, "But it comes with a book." And she said, "You're not going to read it. You don't need it." And he started crying. And she did not care, and she turned around and walked away. And there was a store about 10 feet away, and she walked in the store and left the boy crying at my booth. And he just stood there, and I just couldn't take it, and I took the doll and I gave it to him. And I know some people say, mind your business, you're not the parent. The parent said no, but he was crying, and I gave him the doll, and he took the doll and he looked at me like, "Really? Is it mine?" So I gave him the doll. I said, "Yeah, I thought you could take that, go." And he took it and he smiled and he turned around and he ran away. And I never saw him again, him or his mother. So I don't know if she was mad, happy, or what, but I never saw them again. And Marco said, my husband said, what happened with the doll? I told him the story and he said, "Okay, you're fired. You can't give away the dolls every day." I said, "Well, then I can't work here because every kid that cries for a grandma doll, I'm going to give it to them." So I was fired on the spot. Every day is a grind with this company because my manufacturer is overseas. So being we're 12-hour time difference, I'm up all hours of the night emailing and Skyping and trying to get things done. You know, 4 a.m. for me is 4 p.m. for them, and 2 a.m. So it's tough having meetings at the late hours and then getting up in the morning, going back to the grind, doing the thing I need to do to get this moving. So it's been tough, as you could tell by the dark circles under the eyes. You know, lack of sleep the past few years, but it's worth it. You know, it's something I love to do. It's something I need to do. I want to do, so it's worth it. Getting up every day, I have to get up. I have to get myself to the city. The closest bus drops me off about 12 blocks from the office, and then I walk the rest of the way. But getting in the office is motivational as well. You're there with like-minded people, entrepreneurs trying to get to the next level. They're very focused and they're very helpful. You know, you have a question, you have something you're not experienced with, they're there, you know, to help you with it. So that to me is a big motivator for me, you know. Learning every day something new about how to, you know, better the company, how to move forward is exciting for me. Starting the business was kind of difficult because I was kind of doing it alone. Being a one-man show is difficult. There's way more to running a business than I anticipated, between business licenses and patent fees and getting the design patent, the drawings, the trademark, stuff like that was a little bit more. I bit off a little more than I could chew, I thought at the time, but I have a lot of help from my friends, my family, but for the most part the designing and the billing and the boxing and the shipping and the manufacturing and suppliers, everything is done by me. So it's grueling and it's tough and it's tiresome, but I'm going to get through it and I'm going to do it. You know, there are days you feel like giving up and you say, "Oh, this is too much work, I can't do it." But then I think about the need for the product, one, and two, I think of my father, who was no quitter and he would not be happy with it, and it's a motivator for me, being that I sacrificed, you know, being with him to make these dolls work, that it stays in my mind that I can't let it die because it will all be for nothing, that I even left him there in the hospital. So it motivates me, you know, it has to go, it has to go. I cannot let it die. So it's a sad thing to think about, but it is what drives me. It is what motivates me. Because of a terrible thing that happened, I just can't let it die. Balancing it isn't difficult because mostly everyone is sleeping when I'm having the meetings, so it's good. I can do the mom thing and the wife thing all during the day, and any work I need to get done on the computer is done, and then any meetings are done at night while everybody's sleeping. The only downfall is a little bit lack of sleep for me, but thank God I'm used to it. Excited about the new batch because the pictures and the videos and everything we've sent back and forth so far seems to be on point. They get it, they understand what I needed, what I wanted. I love the fact that you can record the new voice so grandma can say what she needs to say to the doll, to the child through the doll, and then they have it forever. You know, God forbid something happens and grandma's not here anymore. You have her voice in this doll, so it'll always represent her. And I'm so excited to see that portion, you know, be put into it. It's gonna be great. I think the importance of a grandma is to keep the family together. You know, most grandmas are the matriarch of the family. You know, you gather around at grandma's house on holidays and everybody comes together at grandma's. All the cousins, I have the best cousins. We have the greatest memories at my grandmother's house, you know. And I think that's most important for keeping families together. The grandma was head of the family. I came up with the name GrandmasToShare because I feel that I'm sharing my grandmas with the world, and there are children who don't have grandmas. So by having a doll, they're sharing in the experience of having a grandmother. I think a grandma doll keeps traditions alive. I think it keeps kids asking questions about their history, about their culture and their roots and where they came from, and you know, the traditions that they had passed down to them. It'll spark that conversation, it'll spark that curiosity in a child.